everyone, my name is Jennifer Stay. This is Coloring Bliss and welcome to this battle of the best cheap gel pens. We get asked a lot, Jennifer, what's a great cheap or affordable or inexpensive set of gel pens that I can buy so that I can experience gel pens and color with them and have a great time? And I've never had a really great answer to that question. So Steve, my partner and husband,
hello.
He and I decided that we needed to bring in some brands and test them out once and for all. Well, maybe not once and for all, but we have done 10 brands for you to decide what is a great, cheap, and inexpensive gel pen brand that we can recommend to you. So we've put them through their tests and we have all the results in this binder ready to show you. And let's all just have a moment to say, sorry, Rose. We're all very sorry. Because she hates the sounds of clicky gel pens and Velcro and snaps and packaging, and that's what she's been put up against for the last 3 days. It's been swatching and clicking and packaging for 3 straight days. We're all sorry, Rose, but it's for a good cause because now we're going to tell you the top 3, the bottom 3, why, which you should buy. There's links in the video description. Let's get started. Speaking of gel pens, we have a big giveaway for my personal favorite gel pens, and these are not cheap. These are the amazing Sakura Jelly Rolls. We're giving this set away to one of you. Now you gotta hurry because this giveaway ends January 31st, 2021. The winner will be announced February 1st, 2021. There's a link in the video description. Lots of ways to enter. Good luck, everyone. We're also giving a second winner a bonus set of these white gel pens so that you can have some fun coloring with white gel pens. So 2 winners this month. Good luck. Links are in the description, so don't delay. And also, while I'm at it, I wanted to tell you that if you would like to do your own gel pen tests, the worksheet that I am going to be using is available. There's a link in the video description. So I'll tell you more about that when I actually fill out this worksheet later on in this video. So just wanted to let you know that this worksheet is available. Okay, let's get going. Okay, so let me tell you how this whole journey went down. First thing I did was I went into our Facebook group called Coloring Pages Bliss. You need to join if you aren't already there because it's an awesome group. And what I did, this was back in the beginning of January, is I asked the group, what are your favorite gel pens? So that I could get feedback from all of you that are actually coloring with these brands, which ones I should buy so that I didn't buy the wrong brands. I wanted the right brands. So first I got feedback from you, and then from that feedback, we put in our orders on Amazon and brought in 10 different brands. And you're going to see them all here in a minute. We got them all here, and then I sat down and I did some epic swatching, hours and hours of swatching, and we swatched onto, what's the name of the paper?
Mixed media paper.
It's our mixed media paper, and it's a cardstock. It's got just a little bit of tooth, not too much tooth, but enough to engage the ball of the jelly roll or the gel pens. There's a link to it in the video description if you're interested in that paper. It's an awesome paper. That's the paper I use in all the testing and all the swatching here forward. So I swatched them all to get my very first impression, and I wanted to swatch every single pen, check for flow, check for colors, see how the sets are, the whole thing. Once all the swatching was done, I felt like I had a good first impression and was ready to start the testing. So now I'm going to share with you what we did for the testing. I'm going to share 2 experiences with the testing. The first one I wanted to show you was for one of the brands that my first impression wasn't very good. And then the second one I'm going to show you is for one of the brands that my first impression was really quite good and I was excited about doing the testing. So I'm going to roll that footage. So when we come back, I'll do a rundown from the worst to the best and let you know which one of these 10 brands is the best cheap gel pens that I'm going to recommend to you. So let's do some testing. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through how I did the testing on these pens. Probably show you with 2 sets. We'll see how this goes, if you want to see it with 2 sets or not. So the set we picked to show you how I do the testing is this big old set by Shuttle Art. So I'll kind of just walk you through it so you can see how the testing sheet works. So the first thing I did for all the sets was to swatch all of them. This gave me a really good feel of how all the pens behaved and the color selection that was involved and how the set itself worked. One unique thing with the Shuttle Art set and the Feela set is that it came in these white boxes. I'll show you real quick what it looked like when it came. They looked like this when they came, just in a kind of a wimpy white box. And then when you open it up, it came in this kind of packaging. And then inside of the packaging, there were these trays like this. All these trays. And each of the trays had the pens sitting on them, and each tray has a number on it. These numbers correspond to the refill packs right here. And inside this bag are all the refills, and the refills all have numbers on them. So there's individual packs in here of 20 refills in each bag, and there's a number that corresponds to the tray. So originally what I thought I would do was keep all the pens on their appropriate tray, and then I would know where to reach for which corresponding refill. And I quickly discovered this was not going to work because these trays are so flimsy. The pens were falling off the edge, and they don't like to clip in. They don't like to set into the little channels here. They don't like to clip in. It was just a big mess. So we're going to roll some footage now of what I figured out, which was how to number all of them. So you can watch that footage right now. All right, so the way I decided to number these pens was to follow the tray numbers that the manufacturer put on the trays. So there were 9 trays. So in this case, this was tray number 5. So each of the 20 pens got a number 5 written on the pen. Then I put a little dash, and then I numbered the pens 1 through 20. So the first pen got a 5-1, and then a 5-2, and so on. So that worked pretty good. So no matter how I mix up these pens, I'll always know that these particular pens should have a refill that comes from the number 5 pack of refills. So that should work pretty good. So the pen I used for labeling those, I think it was actually the Feela markers or Feela pens you were watching me label right then. The pen I was using to do all that labeling was the Una Paint marker. This is a really stinky paint pen, but any paint pens are going to work. This is the Una Posca. I actually used that on the black gel pen. You saw me using a white paint pen. So any paint pen is going to work. Paint pens are great for labeling pens because it doesn't rub off like an alcohol marker. That ink will rub off. Although you can use an alcohol marker and then cover it with a little bit of like clear nail polish. That will work as well. So I just think it's easier to use a paint pen. So I went through and numbered all the pens in both the Feela set and the Shuttle Art set in this manner. And then I was able to take them out and off of these terrible trays and put them into bags, which isn't, I mean, it's better than the trays. So I have them now sorted by type. I have all the metallics in this bag, all the glitters in this bag, and then all the classics. So when I say classic, what I'm referring to is all the neons, all the pastels, all the sort of classic standard pens, and then any like swirl type pens. They all go into the classic category because they're all sort of the same type of ink. And then what you're left off with is this terrible packaging. I hate this kind of packaging. I would rather have a cardboard box because this stuff, I get paper cuts on this. This is just terrible. So in the future, I don't know how I'll store this. Maybe just in a shoebox. That might be the best way to do it, is just in a shoebox for these types of huge sets of pens. And then I can keep these refills with it and always find it. And it made swatching so much easier. I know which pen it is because it has my numbering on it. that's the way I would recommend if you decide to buy a giant set like this. All right, so the first step to do on this chart right here, now if you're interested in having a download, this download right here of this 6-step worksheet to test your own sets of gel pens and see how they perform, and you can compare, it's really fun. This worksheet here, there's a link to it in the video description. You can follow that link. It'll take you to Coloring Bliss, and it's part of the premium library. The premium library has hundreds of coloring pages and other types of worksheets like this, and all you need to do is become a colorist or a higher paid member than that if you would like. It supports me and Steve here at Coloring Bliss, keeps us making worksheets like this, keeps us making big reviews like this, and it's only $5 a month to become a colorist. You can cancel anytime you want. You get access to this and the entire premium library, plus discounts over at the Coloring Bliss print shop. It's a fantastic way to support us, and you get lots of value for your $5. All right, so first thing I need to do is pick 3 colors in the classic set, 3 colors in the metallic, 3 colors in the glitter, and then if there's any specialty pens in the set, I grab 3 of those. So in this case, there are some swirl pens, so I'll grab 3 of those. So I'm going to fast forward through that so you don't have to sit here and watch me choose some colors. I'll show you what I pick here in just a second. So when I'm picking the inks for this swatch section here, I try to pick sort of a selection of inks. So for instance, in the glitter category, there were different types of glitters in this giant set. So I could tell which glitters, types there were by the kinds of caps. All of the glitters have these glitter bodies. The actual body has glitter in the pen, but some of the caps had sort of translucent caps, and some of them were more opaque caps. So I tried to pick a variety so we have a good selection for our testing. And I did the same in the classic. I tried to pick neons and pastels and standard colors, and then these are our 2 swirl pens that it came with, so we'll swatch those in the other category too. So I'm going to go ahead and fast forward through the swatching. Now there's 2 different ways that I have swatched. So when I swatched all of the colors from the entire big set, this swatching process was done very quickly, so it was fast swatching. This swatching that I'm going to do here into these little rectangles is going to be done much slower and more carefully. So we'll be able to see how the ink and the pens perform in both situations. So that will give me a good overall feel, and we'll talk about the flow issues that I had and if there's any flow issues here in just a second. So we'll hurry and swatch all of these colors. Okay, so the next test we're going to do is a scribble blend test, and we're going to test all of the different pen types, the pen inks, to see how they do on a scribble blend. And then we're also going to test the same inks, how they do as a scribble blend over glycerin. So if you've never tried pairing glycerin with gel pens, it's vegetable glycerin, and oh boy, does it really help your inks perform better and the inks last longer. Now, if you would like to learn how to do these types of scribble blends and how to work with vegetable glycerin with your gel pens and how to do really beautiful backgrounds and cool painting with your gel pens, then you need to join the Bliss Partners, because we just did a 4-part coloring series with our gel pens, and it was so much fun. Learned a lot with our gel pens, and I would love to have you join us with the Bliss Partners. So come on over to Coloring Bliss and learn all about it. Okay, so let's do some scribble blends and test and see how these pens perform, all 3 different types of inks with scribble blends. Okay, so while I'm doing this first scribble blend, I will make a comment here of how dirty this ink is. And I ran into that problem several times with this set of Shuttle Art pens, that some of these pen inks are dirty. They shouldn't have that sort of weird streaky grayness in it. It's really weird. And the pens themselves are really scratchy. I guess it's the nib. you can hear it. It's really scratchy and unpleasant to color with. So this scribble blend process is not going to be fun for me. I think it'll be more fun in the glycerin because glycerin helps everything come out smoother and work better. So, yeah. This is not going to be fun. But we'll power through for the sake of the test. That's why we're doing this test. So I don't know if you can see. Let me bring this up and see if you can see how it didn't come out clean, that swatch. It looks dirty. It should be pretty. And like this color, see? It should be that color. It's weird. All right, let's do that same blend now with some glycerin in it. Okay, we've completed the scribble test and the glycerin blend test. So that's number 2 and 3. So now we get to move on to number 4, which is the smear test. This checks for things like how quickly does the ink dry, which as a colorist we don't want the ink to dry too quickly because it doesn't give us time to do like scribble blends, which I think is what's going on up here with this particular classic ink. It's just drying too quickly. It's really odd. We had troubles both in the plain scribble blend and the glycerin blend, so that was a good thing to learn. Yeah, the best one for the blend was the glitter. That was very interesting. Okay, so we're going to do the smear test, and the way you do that is you make a little puddle. Let me change this view so you can see it really well. You make a little puddle right here in this section of the box and then quickly smear it. And we're seeing how far does it smear. That's what we're looking for, is the length of the smear. Okay, so we're going to do all 3 colors of our classic inks. Again, because we grabbed 3 different types of pens here, so it's just a more fair way to test the set of pens to give all the inks a chance to perform here. And you can see right away the neon pen performed better than that ink right there. So the pastel ink underperformed compared to the other ones. So that's why we test a variety of inks. And if I put my hand up, you can see the color of that neon a little better. The camera has a really hard time picking up neon colors. It's very interesting. Okay, let's test the metallic colors for the smear. Metallic inks tend to smear better because they dry a little slower, but not always. See, it didn't smear as good as that neon ink. So I'm always on the hunt for a really good smeary ink because I can do so many other coloring techniques with a slow drying smeary ink. Okay, let's try the glitter. That one did pretty good. Plus, doing 3 different samples helps to avoid human error, like maybe I put more ink down in number 1 than I did in number 2, or maybe I smeared faster in number 1 than I did in number 2. So again, it gives 3 chances for the inks to perform for us. Okay. All right, now we're going to come over here to number 5, and what we're going to look for is how do these nibs combined with the ink, how do they perform? So we're going to choose a pen to be our the one that performs for us. So the main what's the good word, Steve? Our contestant. That's the word. We need one out of these three to be our contestant. So I tried to give the set the benefit of the doubt. I would be mean to pick that pen as our main contestant. So I'm going to pick either that neon or that red violet as the contestant for this part. I think I'll pick the neon because it's such a fun color. So the way I test this is we're going to do 3 straight lines, a wavy line, some hash marks, and then write some words all in this area. Let me change again to this view, and hopefully you can see, and then I'll show you what we're looking for. So I try to be as consistent as possible with these lines. And then I do a wavy line, and then some hash marks, and then I write a word. You could sign your name. I like the word bliss because it has lots of different pen movements in one word. You can see there, see how it looks neon in the shadow and not neon when that camera really struggles. Okay, so what we're looking for in this are, these are some technical words. We're looking for starting, which means will the pen start easily? Skipping, is there any skipping issues of ink? Pooling is when you get little blops of ink that happen as the pen pulls across the page. And then railroading is when the ink, the tip of the pen causes like a blank spot in the middle of the line. That's the best way I can describe it. So I'm going to go ahead and test the other 3 pens, and then we'll look at all 4 rectangles together and see how all the inks performed. So I'll keep those there, and I'll do a time lapse for you. Okay, so we finished the 4 tests. I'll bring it up to camera here, and hopefully you can see it. If I put my hand up and create a bit of a shadow, you can see that neon pen a little bit better. The only issues I saw with these 4 particular pens was a little bit of railroading on the glitter and the other pen, and on the other pen there was a little bit of skipping issues. So I made notes of that right here so that I can remember that when I get down here to the judging part. Now the last part is we want to see how these pens perform on black. Now not all pens, not all gel pens are intended to work on black. So this is more out of curiosity to see if we luck out with having a pen that happens to work on black. So you can either put down a piece of black paper, maybe you have a particular kind of paper you're hoping it's going to work on, so I would tape that piece of paper down right here, or you can use a black alcohol marker. You want to use an alcohol marker to color in that rectangle, and then you'll be able to do your swatching on top of that. So I just used a Copic 110 to do that, and now we can swatch our pens really quickly on top of the little rectangles. You can still see the lines from the printer underneath there, so that will work really well. Okay, so I'm going to go through and swatch just a little swatch of each color onto the black. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the 6 tests. There's a section to add your final thoughts, just sort of overall feelings as you were testing the pens. And now comes the part where you get to give your pens a score. Usually for this part, I have Steve come over and help me think this through, and I will tell you what each score, and Steve will help me with this too, what each of these 5 criteria represent. So the first one for the pen score is set. So Steve, what do we think about for the set score?
Let's see, we're looking at the packaging of the set, the number of pens included, the price, refills, what is that refill system, what is the cost per pen and cost per pen with refills. We're looking at the variety of colors available.
Okay. So for the packaging, I would say 1 star. It was terrible packaging. So I really disliked that. But the price is fantastic. If you look per pen cost, it's only 18 cents per pen. That's before you calculate in the refill. If you calculate in the refill, it's 9 cents per pen. So that's a fantastic value as far as just cost goes. I had to go through and put the numbers on all those pens in order to make it so that the refills were actually usable. So that really was a pain. That was about 20 to 30 minutes worth of work, which isn't that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things. So if you're willing to put in that kind of work, maybe that's not a big deal. So as a set, there's tons of colors. You get 100 glitters.
So it's kind of like you have a 5-star on one end, but a 1-star on the other.
Yeah. So does it balance it out? This is where I usually have Steve help me logic this out. Like he said, on one end, for value of money, you get tons of pens for your money. But for the cheap plasticiness of the trays...
And the variety of colors. I mean, yeah, there are a lot of colors, but they're almost all mid-tones.
Yeah. So that's when we look back at our
we
swatches.
also consider, could you do landscapes? Could you do portraits with them?
Yeah, is there a light, medium, and dark? I think in the glitters, you have tons of choices. Lots of light, mediums, and darks. Yeah. So I think I'm going to give it a 3 for the set because of good value, lots of colors, but don't expect anything great out of the packaging. So I'm going to give it a 3. So Steve, the next criteria is pen flow. So what do we look for in pen flow? Oh, this is where we talk about over here, the starting, the skipping, the pooling, and the railroading problems. And I got to tell you, you guys, 52 out of the 100 glitters had flow issues. That's more than half of them had flow issues. That's not good. Every time you see the little ink, little dip, that's where I was tapping the pen to get it going again. So these pens definitely flow better if you slow way down. So don't expect to do fast coloring. Fast, when you speed up, these pens, they stop performing. Something about the interaction between the ink and the nibs, they do not work well. 6 out of the 26 on the metallics had flow issues, and with the classics, 18 out of 54 had flow issues. So I did the math, and that's 42% of these pens had flow issues. So I'm going to have to give it, for pen flow, a 1 star, even though once you slow down, it performs better. There were other pens that did way better than that, even at high speed coloring. So yeah, I'm going to give it a 1 for pen flow. And I'm going to color these stars in with something better than pencil. But I like to use pencil for my first time through with scoring in case I change my mind with the scoring. Pen body. These pen bodies... I don't mind a cheap pen body. I know we're talking about cheap gel pens, so I have my expectations are set very low. I'm being realistic here. So there's no pen grip, which I'm okay with. I'd love a pen grip, but that's okay. But as I was working with these, sometimes these little clips pop off. Sometimes the caps don't seat correctly, so you don't get that good click to make sure that your caps are on correctly. And there's a bit of a sharp edge, although this set isn't as bad as some. But there's typically, with these bodies, a little bit of a sharp edge right there. So I'm going to have to give for pen body because I had to do all that numbering on all these pens. And yeah, the clips themselves are confusing. Like why is sometimes clear and why sometimes not clear, and they don't explain that. Yeah, so pen body, I'm going to give it a 1. So the inks now, that's the next thing that we need to talk about. And when we talk about the criteria for the inks. We're talking about color vibrancy when we color with them, the appearance on black, how did they do? When they smear and blend, did they perform well? That's what we're talking about with the inks. So the scribble blend, we really struggled with the classics. I don't know what's going on in the classics. There's a whole bunch of them that colored out dirty. In fact, I mentioned it twice. Some of the classics ink looked dirty. I found it again here, and over on the swatching I mentioned it again. Some inks are looking dirty, and I even mentioned the numbers here of the ones that were coming out dirty. It's really bizarro. I don't know.
They don't blend very well, do they?
No.
None of the...
And the smear test came out. Some of the glitters smeared okay, and that one neon smeared okay. And some of them are actually standing up to the black test, so that's kind of cool. Yeah, weird. So very inconsistent. In fact, that's what I wrote right here. Inconsistent and unpredictable inks, which makes for not a fun coloring experience. When I sit down to color, I want to know what my ink is going to do. I need that predictability so that I know, sometimes you don't know what's happening when you're coloring, and if that's one of the variables, that's frustrating. So I'm going to give it a 1. Is that a 1 or is that a 2, Steve? I mean, some of the colors are really neat, and you get a lot of color. Am I trying to justify this?
I think you are, but I mean, color vibrancy and the sparkles and the sheen is something that
we didn't talk about sparkle. Let's look at the sparkle. Oh, those aren't sparkles. I'm like, there is no sparkle. It's terrible. Okay, this is the sparkle here.
And again, the one that we always compare it to are the jelly rolls.
Yeah, the jelly rolls.
They're amazing. Their sparkles and their sheen on the metallics is amazing.
There's a jelly roll sparkle. And then compare it to this sparkle here. A few of them are doing well.
And then
others are, again, inconsistent and unpredictable.
The other thing is it seems like the glitter is larger or something and a little more blotchy.
Yeah, if you look at the metallics here of the jelly roll line, you can see it catching the light. And then if we look at the metallics, which are right here, some of them are catching the light, but the majority of them are just falling flat.
So that's 1 or 2 at the most.
If I want to be, I'm going to be generous and give it a 2 because we do get a good variety of colors. So, and some of them did stand up to the black, so we'll give it a 2 because I like to be generous. All right, overall experience though. Look at this. After I finished, that kind of shows you how I was feeling. So, I mean, I had to label them. I mean, you guys already know so that's the 1. Okay, so what we'll do after we're done here with all of them, we're going to go back and add them all up and do the old math, we'll do the math, add them up, divide them by 5, and that will give us our total star score. And that's how we'll come up with the top 2 and the bottom 2 in our gel pen scores. We've got the Shuttle Art all done, the testing done for Shuttle Art, and now we're going to do the Tanmit brand. Now, I've already swatched all the Tanmit gel pens, so I've already had a first impression of this brand, and I'm pretty hopeful about this brand. So I'm excited to do the tests on it and hopeful that it's going to turn out to be a good brand. So let's see what the tests say. I'll come back to you once we get to the end with the final thoughts, and let's see how this brand turns out. Okay, we've come to the end of the 6 steps of the testing for the Tanmit set. And it's pretty much what I thought was going to happen, which was wow. In fact, at the end of swatching this set, that's exactly what I wrote was wow. So yeah, there's a few odd things about this set. For instance, there's this group of pens in here they're calling the Dieware set, which is a little odd. I don't know what they are. I'd love to do some more research on them. The cool thing about the Tanmit set, and there's also, what's the other line?
Reaeon.
Reaeon. They are labeling their pens. So what they do is they put a little code on each pen. Bring this up so you can see, hopefully, right there. So it has their brand name and then this little code. So it has a GN-01. GN stands for glitter neon. So not only does the little clip here give you an indicator of what this pen is going to be, but the actual name tells you exactly what it is. So that's fantastic. So as I was swatching, this orange pen is the Dieware. So I kind of threw it into the mix because, just like I said in the last time, I want to be able to have different types of inks in the testing so I can see how they perform. And the Dieware is less, it's more translucent than the other ones, so that's one of the properties of that ink. So maybe someday we'll do a little more research on what this Dieware is. It's very interesting. If you know about it, comment below. I'd love to know what it is. So in this set we have neons, Diewares, standards, all in the classics, and pastels. So because the pens are labeled, I actually knew what was going on, as opposed to some of these other sets where there's no labeling and you're just left to sort of look at the pen and the caps and do your best at guessing. So I loved that.
Did you say that the refills are labeled also?
Yes, and that's why I think they went to the bother of labeling the pens. So when you have this box comes with it. So let's talk packaging, because that's one of the first things in the label, in the score system here, is we need to talk about the set, and part of that score is the packaging. So it comes in a cardboard box, which at first I was like, why did they bother with the extra packaging? But we ran into a problem on multiple sets that we brought in. When they're packaged like this and they don't come in a nice heavy cardboard box like this, these packages get damaged. Every time that they weren't in a box like this, they come to me damaged, either cracked here or cracked along the bottom. When these crack like this, then you get the dreaded cuts that I was talking about with this cheap plastic. It will cut you, and then if it splits, the pens fall out. So this packaging then becomes not usable, or you have to tape it, which you can. Just tape it up and then you can use it for a little while longer until you hate it. But because Tanmit and Reaeon went to the extra step to put this in a box, it protected it, and now it's come to me in perfect condition. And if I want to, I can store it for a while in this really pretty box, and it will keep it nicer even longer. So kudos to them. That's awesome. Now in this box came the pens and this box, which is where the gel pen refills are. And unlike the Shuttle Art and what's the other one we tested? Feela. They have no way, except those horrible trays.
Arteza, right? Arteza doesn't even have the same color.
No, the Arteza
the
refills didn't even try. They're not even the same gel pen refills for their 60 sets. So these ones have the match. So here's that Dieware I was talking about. So now when that orange pen dies, all I have to do is reach for this set right here and find D05, and in here they're all labeled. See, it says D02 on it. No headaches, you guys. No stress. Nothing. This is so much better. If this costs extra money, which it doesn't, I mean, maybe a little bit more. We're going to talk cost here in a second. This is so worth a little extra money. Better packaging, better organization, labeled, so when you swatch, you can find the right color. I mean, oh, that just makes coloring so much better. So this is head over heels worth any extra money, which they're not charging. This is so awesome. So yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this back in this little tight box. I am. Oh my goodness. Yeah, this is so good, you guys. So good. Let's have a moment of sorry, Rose. She hates all this packaging. Okay, back to the scores. So as a set, the questions again are, how do we feel about the packaging? Fantastic. How do we feel about the number of pens? The Tanmit set comes with 120 colors. We get lots of colors. We get a cool yellows. We get, I mean, we have browns in here, you guys. We have even a few skin tones. Let me see if I can find their skin tone. They even come with, I mean, it's me skin tone, but there's other skin tone type browns as well. I mean, yeah, see, even in the neon, I wouldn't call that a neon, but you could do several different skin tones, browns. I mean, this is quite impressive. So as a set, I'm going to have to score it really high.
So if it came with a nice case,
yeah, the only thing,
would that be like a 5?
if you had it maybe in a canvas case, but we're talking,
it's like it sounds like it can't get much better than that. I mean, that would be the only thing. So it still may be a 5.
I think for what we're doing here, it's a 5.
And I know last time we were doing like 4.5. This time I thought we should force ourselves to either lean one way or the other. And I think it sounds like we both lean towards a 5 on that.
I'm going to give it a 5 because, yeah, it's a 5. Now, pen flow. The last set we talked through together was the Shuttle Art, and it was like 42% of them had pen flow issues. This one, when I did the math, only 4% had pen flow issues. We did have a couple with minor pooling, so I wanted to show you what pooling looks like so you know what we're talking about. Here on this glitter pen, you can see how there's little spots in the lines where a tiny bit of a pool of ink would come out kind of sporadically as you're drawing those lines. That's pooling. So we have to kind of ding them for that. Other than that, I didn't have any flow issues with these pens. They didn't smear as great as I would like them to, but I think, they're decent. We got a good smears in the metallics. One good smear here, decent here. The dye wear didn't smear good. Maybe that's just a property of the dye wear ink. I don't know. We haven't researched that yet. We did have one duplicate pen, you guys, which was weird. And I think maybe that was just my set. We had 2 N6 pens come to me. I'm guessing it was just my set had a duplicate. So, yeah. So pen flow, I'm going to give it, is that a 4 or a 3? A 4? I'm going to give it a 4. It had minor pooling. So is that a 3? It's not average. It's a little bit above average. So I'm going to do 4. Yeah. Okay, so pen body. Now this is just a standard pen body. There's no grip. I wish there was. The caps, they are a little stubborn, but they're not as bad as the Shuttle Art. Those caps, some of them wouldn't seat correctly. All of these were seating correctly. Some of them are hard to get off. I don't like that, but I'd rather have them hard to get off than not clicking on correctly. You know what I mean? I didn't have any of the tops pop off, and these are labeled. Now let's check for that sharp edge. There is a sharp edge there. So they're not going to score really high on pen body, but I am going to give them extra points for having labels there because that's amazing. They need to, like, I don't know, I wish I could give them a 5 just for putting labels on their pens, but I can't because that's not fair. So they can't have a 5. They're definitely not a 1. A 4 or a 3, Steve? They're not.
If they have the comfort grip, then maybe a 4. So I'm kind of thinking a 3.
A 3. I really want to give them higher because of the labeling, but yeah. Okay, the inks themselves. We got to look at the swatches here. So for the inks, we're talking, how did they blend? Do they have vibrant colors? How's the shine on the glitters?
How does it compare to like jelly rolls?
The glitters are beautiful. I mean, they're not as stunning as the jelly rolls, but we're talking the difference between a Chinese glitter and a Japanese glitter. Let's look at the metallics because, again, they're just not that great. A couple of them are outstanding.
They're just flat, aren't they?
Yeah, so they're
they
average.
A little bit of sheen. So jelly rolls obviously would be a 5.
These are not a 1, but they're not knocking my socks off. But they did blend beautifully and they smeared decently.
Maybe a 4.
And they're doing okay on black, so they're either a 3 or a 4. What do you think, Steve?
Well,
I don't want to be too generous because I know...
One of the things I noticed on the other ones, like Shuttle Art, is the colors just seem to be a little flat. They're not super vibrant. These are really pretty.
Yeah.
Like they pop.
So...
And like you said, the glitters glitter. And the metallics, well, they sheen. They have sheen in them.
So a 4?
Yeah, I'd give it a 4.
We'll go a 4. Now, my overall experience... I know I'm being a little swayed because when I was doing the tests, I went from the frustration of Shuttle Art and pens that were scratchy and caps that weren't working and flow issues on about half the pens to this set that was flowing better, caps that were working, pens that are labeled,
colors that work,
colors that are vibrant and flowing. And so experience wise, I went from a frowny mad face to writing wow on my so I know I'm being swayed, but that's the point here. This is my time to be able to say so I would give it
better way
a 5
to experience than to experience multiple brands all in a short period of time. I mean,
and you look at the price. I mean, I would if someone called me up right now and said, Jennifer, which set would you tell me to go grab off your shelf and start coloring with? This is probably the set I would tell them to go reach for. So I'm going to give it a 5. Because, it was that good. So my final thoughts are, I'm just going to put wow again. And I want to learn about what that dieware is. Maybe I'm going to have to reach out to the company because that's pretty cool. So now you've seen how we did the whole testing process. I've got all the results right here. So after all the research and all the testing, we're going to start with the losers. The ones I don't think you should buy. Now, if you own these brands and you have a different opinion or you love them, there are a lot of good things about all these brands. So this is just, a head-to-head from all these brands. And so if you own it and I say some negative things, but you love them, don't feel bad because all of them have great reasons to color with all of them. So just wanted to say that. And I also wanted to mention that we did purchase all these with our own money and we're not a sponsored channel. So I just wanted to make sure you knew that as well. Okay, so the first one, we're actually going to talk about place number 9 and 10 sort of at the same time.
And 8.
Yeah, 9, 10, and 8 kind of are in the same group. So, Steve, will you hand me place number 9 first? This is it here. So, Feela and Shuttle Art are pretty much the same set. So if you don't know much about how the products coming in from China work, usually what happens, it's either called white labeling or relabeling. And what happens is there's a seller, and the seller can contact these companies in China. And so say there's this company that is manufacturing gel pens in China, and the seller can go to the company and say, I would like to sell this set of gel pens. I want you to put my name on it, and I would like it to have 360 colors, or maybe I only want 320 colors. And they can choose which colors they want in the set. They can even choose packaging things and what kind of labeling. There's all kinds of things they can choose. And then they come on to Amazon and they get to choose the prices and they sell them out to us. So from our perspective, it looks like different companies, but really it's the same product being relabeled or white labeled. Did I describe that good, Steve?
Yeah, great.
Okay, so the 10th place, 9th place, and 8th place, we discovered are all coming from the same company in China, just being relabeled or white labeled by different sellers. There, I think I said that good. Now, the way I know this to be true is because they all came in this... Oh, almost dropped it. They all came in almost identical white boxes. They had slightly different barcodes, which makes sense because they would have, stamped them different for each seller. But they had identical tape on them, identical white box around these cheap, flimsy boxes. And then when I started comparing the swatches, the colors are almost identical, well, pretty much identical, especially between the Shuttle Art and the Feela, which were both 360 sets. So you don't need both. If you're looking for a massive set with tons of colors and you don't care too much about the feel of the pen or the flow of the pen, you just want the biggest set there is out there, which is why I bought these sets to compare, then maybe you'll be okay with these. These sets also, you're going to want to label it like I showed you during the testing process. You're going to want to do some sort of labeling so that eventually when it's time to refill, you'll be able to find the right refill for the right pen. So that's the drawbacks of these pens. They don't flow super great. As you can see, I'll show you the Feela chart. They've scored really low on pen flow. They scored low on the ink body. The inks themselves are not fantastic. They didn't blend that great. They were scratchy. They're just not that great. I've got a better solution for you, so hang in there. Okay, so all three of these brands didn't score so well. In fact, by the time I had Feela and Shuttle Art done, and I went and looked at this box and was about ready to crack into it to start swatching, I couldn't bring myself to do it. I knew for a fact that this was exactly the same pens as what was in Feela and Shuttle Art, and I couldn't bring myself to do it. It was such a upsetting experience. And so I decided to just leave this pristine in its box, and we'll either return it pristine, which we can, or we might do a future giveaway. Make sure you're subscribed, you hit the like button and the little bell so that you don't miss future giveaways. Okay.
But we'll do better giveaways than that.
Yeah, we're not going to give away just the cheapest stuff, but yeah, anyway. But we do lots of good giveaways like that Sakura Jelly Roll set, which is the prima ones. Anyway, so again, if you own these and you love them, which I know some of you do, don't feel bad because they're not like... They still color, and they still had beautiful colors to use. So I just don't want people to feel bad if this is what you own. So, but there are better things to be had. Okay, next brand up. So that covers number 9, which scored 1.6, and 8, which was Shuttle Art, the one you saw, which also scored 1.6. So I was pretty happy about that. That meant our scoring was working.
Yeah, look at them side by side.
They were several hours apart, and they still scored independently the same. So I thought that was pretty cool. Okay, the next one up I actually thought this one would score a little higher than it did, but it didn't. This one came in the 7th place. It's the Arteza line, and I think the place that it really fell down hard was in the set. Because you have to buy individual boxes. You have to buy the 60 box, you have to buy the metallic box and the glitter box, and then you have to buy the refills, which don't match. If you watched that video from a previous video several weeks ago, we discovered that the 60 refills don't match the 60 here necessarily, and there's no way to know which refill goes into which pen. It's just a big problem, so it lost a lot of points for that. The inks themselves were decent, but the pen bodies weren't great, so overall the experience was just poor, so it got a 7. Okay, next one up. This was the Castle Art, and this is when things got a little interesting because it came in this nice little box, and inside, let me show you the pens. See, she starts, no, don't do it again, Mom. I'm not going to open any of the pens. Just pull, I know, I'm sorry. I won't do any of the clickies, okay? So it comes with this type of packaging, which we're going to see a lot of here on out. But because it was in a nice heavy cardboard box, this package was protected. And some of the ones we're going to see in a little bit, they didn't get as well protected. So if you buy a set like this, you want to look for one that gets shipped in a nice cardboard box. And I don't know if it says that in the Amazon description.
Yeah, I don't.
So you might want to look in the Q&A part down lower and see if people talk about this, because this is necessary, as you're going to see in a minute. So this was 100 gel pens in this set. Let's look at the test sheet. It came in at 6th place, and the place where it started to fail was in the pen bodies. I was having a lot of trouble with the pen bodies. It had a sharp edge on the grip, and it just seemed overpriced compared to some of the other brands we're about to look at. Inks themselves were decent, but we had a lot of pen flow issues. Yeah, it's just, there were better sets, and this one just had some pooling issues. Yeah. So let's move on to the set that got 5th place. Okay, now here is, we got pens and papers going everywhere. This one here is a set called Color Technik. I think on Amazon it was spelled color with an O-U. But when it came here, it was the American way of spelling color. So Color Technik got 5th place, and this is one of those sets that didn't come in a cardboard box, and so when it got shipped, you can see the bottom of the set got split open, and so the pens were constantly falling out as I was working with them, so that's not a good thing. Now, a lot of these companies are starting to claim things like, my pens have 40% more ink. My pens have 20% more ink. This one had a claim of thicker ink cartridge. Now, Steve and I pulled the little inserts out of several of the pens and even compared them to pens that I've had for like 4 years, so really old sets of pens, and tried to see, is this true? Are they filling the little things more? Are the little things inside there bigger? What's going on? Is this true? And I really don't think this is true. There's no way to prove whether it's true or not. My gut instinct is this is not true.
We couldn't see any difference between them.
So I don't know if there's some like cheap brand out there in the wild world of Amazon that just has a lot less ink, and someone said, look, if we compare ourselves to this, we can legitimately say we're 40% more than that really random brand. I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. But
it's just marketing.
Yeah, it's just marketing. So when you see those claims of 40% more ink and all that, I would just sort of glean over that and not think, yes, that's true. Okay, that's my recommendation. Okay, but these guys did have a 365-day guarantee that they're claiming. So whether Color Technik will be around in 365 days, I don't know. But I guess if I really was picky and mad about the fact that my package was split, I could probably return that over that. So I would try that if I was really upset about that. Okay, so this one, it scored higher for their inks. They got a 4 on their inks, but again, low on their pen body, probably because the caps were having problems. That's usually the problem with this type of pen. Another problem is they gave me 2 black pens. I don't know why in a set, why they would do that. 2 black pens, that's weird. But there was a light, medium, and dark brown. Woohoo! If you color like trees and stuff like that. Also, browns are great for skin tones, so that was pretty cool. But yeah, it's a decent set, good flow, lots of colors. So they came in right in the middle at 5th place. So let's check out who got 4th place. Hand these off to my handy helper. Okay, this was a smaller set. We did want to bring in one that was around $10, which I think this one was $9.99, $8.99. So this guy you could get if you wanted an experience of gel pens for less than $10. This guy you could buy. So he was Caliart. Now this was a different experience. This pen body got a 4. Okay, sorry, Rose. Look what she does when you click it. See, she hates it. Oh, she just hates it. I'm sorry, baby. I promised you I wouldn't do it, and then I did it. Okay, so these pen bodies are a little bit different. They give you a nice little grip, and they're round, and it really does make a difference. There's no sharp edge to hold on to, and when you're coloring for hours and hours like I've been doing for the last few days, that little grip really makes a difference. So I scored it pretty high for having a nice grip. So thank you, Caliart, for that. And I'm sorry, Rose, this is going to be the clicks you hate really quick. I'm done, baby. I'm sorry. Okay, so 4th place, they got good pen body, good inks, good pen flow, but I gave it a 1 on the set because there's just not enough colors. Yeah, you could experience some things, but there was only 5 metallics, and they weren't that amazing. I mean, yeah, if it were me, I would rather, and I was, recommending to you to buy some gel pens, I'd rather see you spend a little bit more money to get more colors to have a better experience with your gel pens. So,
if all you have is $10,
then here you go, and you get a comfortable gel pen in a nice case, and this case survived the shipping. It's all in one piece. So good job. Okay, let's see who got number 3. Woohoo! Okay, all you glitter lovers, are you ready to rejoice? Okay, so I wanted to bring in one set that was all glitter, and that's what this one is. Lots of you over on Coloring Pages Bliss, you guys recommended this set. This is the Aen Art 100 pack of nothing but glitters. That's right, glitter heaven here. Okay, let me bring up my research binder. This is where we've been keeping tons of research and all my swatch charts. And right here is the glitter pens. I just want to give you a little peek at all the colors you get when you get 100 glitter pens. Really cool. All the lights, and some of them are really light. Really, really light. And I'll move it in the light, and hopefully, yeah, you can see. Now, these are not glitters on the level of Sakura Jelly Roll glitters or Pentel Sparkle Pop. These can't compete with that, but in person and even on camera, it's catching it. They're pretty cool. They're not too shabby. So I was pretty pleased with that. So this Aen Art pack right here came in at 3rd. I was happy with that. So they got good smears. Now I did rank it low on the set simply because there were no refills and because all it was glitter. So as an experience for gel pens, it's pretty limited because you're only getting glitters. But you are getting 100 glitters. So pen flow was, I said there were some flow issues and with the swatching, so they had to be low on that. But when it came to the pen body, because look, you guys, there's a grip on these pens. That's fantastic. So pen body, the inks, and just the experience of coloring with glitter. So that's how come they went all the way up to third place. So yeah, if you love glitters and you already know you love glitters, then I would highly recommend this pack. It's pretty cool. Comfortable pens and tons of fun colors to color with. Okay, so now we have our top 2. Now, it's kind of a similar story to our bottom 3. When I first opened up one set and did the swatching, and then when I finally got to the second set and did the swatching, I realized that I think these are coming from the same Chinese factory. So again, we have a white labeling or relabeling situation happening, but there are slight differences between these 2 sets, and that's why we have a first place and a second place. So let me move my binder out of the way so you can see what we're doing here. So this is our second place, and it is the Reaeon. That's how we've been pronouncing it around here, is Reaeon. Now, first off, it comes in a nice cardboard box to protect the packaging inside. So it made it to me in one piece. So we have the refills, and then we have the actual gel pens, which are all in one piece. Now, the pens themselves don't have a grip. They do have that little bit of a sharp edge. So when you look at our rankings, I had to take it down just a little notch because of the sharp edge, but because of one simple thing. You look at these pens, and can you see how they have a number on them? Okay, sorry, Rose. Sorry. Okay. If I pull this guy out and show you here, hopefully, yeah, you can see how it says the brand name, but then right next to the brand name, you can see the ink number. So it has... That gives us 2 things. It allows us to reference the refill, which I told you a little bit about when I was actually doing the test, so I won't go into that again. But it also tells us what ink type is in this pen. So as a colorist, this is going to take so much frustration away, because these caps, the manufacturers assume that we can look at this cap and the body of the pen and know what kind of ink is in this pen, and sometimes we can't. It's really hard to tell if this is a metallic or if this is a glitter pen. So just judging by this pen alone, if I didn't look at the labeling, I would assume that this is a metallic pen. This is not. This is a glitter neon pen. And that's the problem with a lot of these brands coming in from China. The little clippy thing is supposed to tell us so much, and it doesn't. And so I adore that they have this little GN to tell me that this is a glitter neon pen here in my hand. Fantastic. I do not like to be frustrated when I color. I'm supposed to be blissful. So that's why the pen body went from something lower, because it does have a bit of a sharp edge, although this is better than, say, the Arteza or some of the others. It's pretty good. It's not as sharp. So that's good. The other thing that's different about this pen, and why I know it's coming from a different company, is the caps are seating better. They're a little stubborn, but they're not loose. Some of the other brands, like the Shuttle Art, sometimes you put the cap on and it didn't click. It wasn't seating on properly. So overall, the pen body isn't perfect, but it's better, way better. So that's why we got a 4.
It's close to a 5.
Yeah, it was so
close. If
close.
it had a rubber grip on it, it probably would have been a 5.
Yeah. So the inks are good. Look at the smears, look at the blending, the vibrancy. There was minor pooling, but I was being picky and honest, so I had to show the pooling. And look, even the inks showed up on black. What? Like, how cool is that? So I wrote down, it was a delight to work with. I mean, these are the sets. This one here and the one we're about to show you are the kinds of sets that I would be really proud to refer you guys to, because now it's going to be an experience that you can enjoy coloring, and you get an experience with all these different kinds of inks. And it's only $19.99 for this set, which is 20 cents per pen. But if you calculate in the cost with the refills, that's only 10 cents per pen. Wow. So cool. Okay, so like I said, this pen set that we gave to first place, we think is coming in from the same company, because the bodies are the same, the packaging is the same, the ink colors are the same. I checked the swatches and the numbers are the same. So we think they're coming in from the same company. The inks act the same. The difference between the Reaeon set and the Tanmit set is that in the Tanmit set you get 240, which is really only 120. So this is a 120 pen set. So the price goes down slightly. The Reaeon set was 10 cents per pen when you factor in the refills. This set is only 9 cents per pen when you factor in the refills. So if you want to go from $20 investment to a $22 investment, you get more colors, a bigger set. $2 more and you get more colors. It's like, yeah. But you can see, same kind of setup, a nice cardboard box. We crack into this box and it's the same deal here. We get the refills, which is awesome. And I'm going to shake this, and I'm not going to do it, Rose. We're just going to peek. Here is the pens. They're all beautiful. I mean, it's just the perfect little beginner set. Here is our tests. Look at the vibrant colors. This is the one that you guys watched me do the testing on. So we already talked about the weird dye-wear ink that I'd like to research and learn more about. Look at the good flows. I just wrote the word wow. It's just a good wow for a good cheap set. There's not much more to be said. This is the one I'm going to recommend. Because like I said, $2 more and you get more colors. That's a no-brainer. Now, what I wanted to mention, though, is that gel pens seem to fluctuate in cost wildly. Now, color pencils, markers, all of them do it, but usually like with $1 or $2 difference, and then around Christmas or something, you'll see a big price drop. Gel pens, on the other hand, I've noticed if you drop them in your Amazon cart and then come back every day and just watch, sometimes they'll drop by $5, $10, or there'll be coupons and deals that will happen to get you to buy these sets. So watch, because you might be able to get like this Tanmit set for even less, like way less. So shop the deals for these Tanmits, and maybe you'll get them for even less than 9
or if
cents
the
a pen.
Reaeon goes like super sale, then that would be a great one to get too.
Yeah, they do like those lightning deals on Amazon. So either the Reaeon or the Tanmit, either one you can get your hands on would be awesome. I'm glad I own both, because that means I have two really good basic sets now that I can use for filming things, and I know I can reference the gel pens quickly. I know what I have in my hand. I mean, these are going to be stress-free, inexpensive, quick pens to use. Awesome. This is exactly what I was looking for, and I'm so excited to be able to recommend these two brands to you. So, like I've said before, just be a savvy shopper. There's a lot of awesome gel pen brands out there. I don't think any of these gel pen brands are whammies, are losers. I just think there are some that are better in the cheap category, and I'm excited to find that there are differences. Like, I was wondering if we'd bring them all in and they'd all be the same. That was one worry I had, was would they all feel the same, and we'd be like, oh, they're all coming from the same company. But no, there are definite differences. The inks flow differently. The pens feel, some of them are scratchy, some of them not so much. So there were differences. This was definitely not a waste of time, and I'm glad that we can recommend certain things higher than others. So I hope this was a helpful video to you and will guide you as you're investing in your next set of gel pens. I think they're one of the best coloring tools that we have. I think they're underrated, underused. We need to use them more. And like I said earlier in this video, if you'd like to learn how to color with them and get more joy out of your gel pens, then make sure you check out the link in the video description to come and learn about our workshop series all about gel pens. And I hope you have a wonderful, colorful, blissful day. Bye-bye, everyone.